is going on, everybody? Welcome on this Wednesday night. Show's a little bit later here for week 3. We do apologize, but it's going to be the preview for week 3 in the NFL. Brad Thomas along here with myself, Johnny Venezia, a.k.a. JohnnyVTV. Enjoying a solid week 2 from the both of us. Brad, I think we could both agree. We were talking about this off air. We got jobbed on the Arizona game.
We did, man.
That was my play of the week, up 24 points at half, and then they just, I think, taking their foot off the gas is a little generous in terms of what they did. Basically, allowed Carolina to come in. I was saying it too when I think Arizona was up I don't know, like 13 or something.
Yeah,
I don't remember, and it was the second to last drive.
Yeah, up 12. Yeah,
they were up 12, right? And I was like, God damn it, this back door is about to be wide open. I was sitting with my buddies, and I'm like, dude, this back door is going to be so open. Like, if I could have liquidated my 401k in 60 seconds and threw it on Carolina to backdoor cover this, I would have taken it.
Bro, the books didn't even put up a line. They knew.
It was nuts. It was nuts. Like, I honestly couldn't believe what we were seeing. And then Denver, listen, that was a good game from Indy. They hung tough. Their defense really shut it down in the second half, but let's call it what it is, dude.
Yeah.
Launching on a 60-yard prayer of a field goal for the win, which he misses, and then 15-yard penalty makes it a 45-yard kick. I mean, look, we were talking about this, bro. You handicap the game the way we did last week for those two, you're winning that a lot more times than you're losing. But long term, it's going to be successful in the NFL. Still, though, winning weeks for the both of us. So, really can't complain. I think maybe we're due here for a couple games that we don't deserve to win, and we get the wins on.
Yeah, the back doors are going to happen. There's going to be egregious things that happen in the NFL. I just really wish we could have been able to put a position on the Panthers live, but there was really no options there. But everything else, like, all in all, I feel like it's been a great, steady start to the season.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. All right, so week 2 is in the books. We have week 3 kicking off tomorrow. Brad, talk to me a little bit about your expectations here. Obviously, a lot of injury news, especially surrounding the quarterbacks. Joe Burrow's done for a while, turf toe, real big blow to Cincinnati. Jaden Daniels, questionable. JJ McCarthy's out. Justin Fields has a concussion. He won't play.
Well. Yeah,
this is turning into, and then Brock Purdy obviously was sat last week. TBD for this week. What are you expecting here for week 3?
Well, I'll say this: I expect there's going to be a lot of overreactions, especially line overreactions. Typically, what I do when I bet on lines and there's injury news, I don't go and just hero bet the line unless I have a plan. So I did this with Jets Tampa. I'm going to get out of it probably because the line didn't move at all. When I took Tampa, when the news came out, people actually bet the Jets. They bet the Jets with Tyrod starting. And now I just finally got back to my number so I can play the other side. But my plan was if I got a point and a half, I would play both sides and try to land on the perfect and then eat the juice if not. That's typically what I do with injury news because we have to remember, like, it's not like these guys got hurt at practice, right? Yeah. These guys got hurt during the game. So these bookmakers, they have already had their evaluations of whatever's going to happen, whether they're going to play or whether they're not. So they're going to bake that probability into the line already. But what I try to do is capitalize on everyone else, the public going to bet it.
Yeah, so last week, I think, we're talking about that Bills-Jets game last week. I had the Bills in a money line parlay with Dallas and Baltimore. Dallas, of course, had to make me sweat. We did get that home, though. I leaned Jets 6.5.
Yeah.
Wasn't official, but I leaned it only because, hey, it's a divisional game. I felt like, the Jets did a lot of really good things, and they were going to be able to take advantage of the Bills' defense, sort of in the way Baltimore did. Potentially a Bills letdown spot off an emotional win. And look, even before Justin Fields got hurt, Buffalo was just dominating. And I think there's some sort of medium between the 2025 Jets with Justin Fields versus how they looked with Buffalo and how they looked with Pittsburgh. I think
Yep.
it should be somewhere in the middle. We're going to touch on that game a little bit more, but I do agree. How do some of these injuries impact the lines and ultimately where they go? And also, some of these teams are 0-2. How do the 0-2 teams who are basically fighting for survival at this point? The rate of making the playoffs when you start 0-3 is
Yeah,
extremely low. So what do some of those teams look like here in week 3? And what
man.
did you know it, Brad? We're going to get an 0-2 team versus a 2-0 team to kick off our week on Thursday. The Miami Dolphins at the Buffalo Bills. This number was 12.5, still 12.5 in some spots, but we're seeing some 11.5s here. Brad, give me one good reason why I would take the Dolphins, even with this very large number.
Man, it's very hard. I've struggled to find something. At least when with the Dolphins last season, you could at least in tough times a little bit count on their defense. Defensively, they would be better, right? For anybody like looking at the advanced analytics, the Dolphins are dead last in EPA per play and dead last in success rate on defense. The Dolphins, not like the Dolphins played the Chiefs or Detroit or like any of these teams with the Chargers putting up big points. They played against two teams in the Colts and the Patriots who are going to try to model their offense off efficiency, and they were having big, explosive, successful plays on them. That's really worrying. Dead last in both. The Bills on the other side of the ball, right? The Bills, they played as great as you can play, right? Number 3 in EPA per play on offense, and I believe they're number 6 in success rate on offense. And they had to play the Ravens, and they came back and won. With them not covering, with them not failing to cover against the Jets, it made me feel like this team's ready for that to make a serious Super Bowl run where they're not just going to go and show up to games unprepared or unmotivated or not starting fast. I just can't buy into the Dolphins. Also, I thought this was pretty compelling. The Dolphins still can't run the ball, man. They still can't run the ball. You're not going to beat a team like the Bills through the air if you don't have any kind of balance. I think the Bills win this by 2 touchdowns. Will I take that on a Thursday night where spooky things happen? No, but it just makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, got a quick shout out. Are you there? I am absolutely here. Thank you so much for joining the stream. Yeah, look, man, here's the thing. Buffalo is that much better than Miami. And I'm going to say this, dude. We weren't high on Miami coming into the year. They showed a little bit of fight in week 2. A little bit to my surprise. That was honestly the biggest reason why I was leaning New England, because I think ultimately Miami could have no-showed again like they did in Indy in week 1. But ultimately what I'm going to be doing here is looking at Buffalo to keep it rolling. I don't think Buffalo's going to take it light. They're at home on a short week. But here's the biggest thing. Miami is 0-2. Staring down the barrel at 0-3. We talked about this before last week's game. On Sunday, we talked about this before the game. Said, hey, listen, if Miami loses, which we both thought that they were going to, then they're going to have to turn around in a short week and go to Buffalo and play the Bills. This is where I can honestly see Mike McDaniel coach his last game, because Miami is realistically looking at 0-3 right now. And I felt like they were going to give them one more chance, the Dolphins were, for Mike McDaniel, because, hey, if we lose this game, we have a mini bye before week 4 to promote within for an interim head coach. I don't think Miami's getting up for this one. I could be wrong. I think I might end up taking Buffalo in an official play. I don't like betting Thursday night games. I never have. The short weeks, just in the years past, you just see so many fluky things, a lot of sloppy play, mental mistakes, turnovers, penalties, missed kicks, like things that you don't see as much on a Sunday from a team on a given week. I don't really know where I'd be betting Miami. I think I do believe that Ed Oliver is out for Buffalo.
Yes,
and
he is.
I don't know. Somebody else on their Matt Milano's out as well. So those are two big defensive losses for them. I just don't know if Miami's going to be able to make enough of a difference and be able to mitigate that. So I'm leaning Buffalo here. I agree with you. I think this is as good of a time for them to make that Super Bowl run, and nothing would be pleasing to them more than winning here against Miami in convincing fashion and starting off 2-0 in the division.
Yeah, it's interesting about the about Ed Oliver being out. I think naturally people were like, I want to go to Devon Achane rushing yards, but 56.5 still pretty high. So that would be a pass for me anyway.
Yeah. So, Buffalo with the points is where I'm leaning. May make that an official play. Got to think a little bit more about it, do a little bit more research, but I think this could honestly spell the end of the road here for Mike McDaniel. I just if they lose, I don't know how you stick with them at 0-3. But hey man, look, Miami's got the talent, but are they going to show up and play? And then even if they do, is it going to be enough against Buffalo? I don't think so. All right, let's go to a game with Jaden Daniels' status up in question as the Washington Commanders host the Las Vegas Raiders here in Week 3. Brad, obviously the injury news is key before really making a prediction here. Not exactly sure if Jaden Daniels is in or out for this week. Have you heard anything?
Basically the latest Quinn said was they're going to be extra cautious. And so that just makes me believe he's going to be out. I think they can win this game with Marcus Mariota because to beat it's pretty obvious to beat this Raiders team. It's not about how successful your offense is. It's making the Raiders have to beat you through explosions, through explosive plays. You watch against the Chargers. What did the Chargers do best against the Raiders? They limited explosive plays. And what happened? Geno Smith started pressing a little bit too much, threw some interceptions. I actually think the game plan doesn't change much with Mariota offensively. He's probably got to be the best backup in the NFL right now. Would I be comfortable betting it? Not really. 3, but I think this is going to be an exciting team. I think they just got plans to save for a new stadium in Washington. So it's going to be an exciting fan base. It's going to be a really fun, exciting home game. But I couldn't get down with the 3, man. Maybe I'd probably sprinkle or take a look at the over 44 points.
Yeah, I'm not betting this game.
It's a good pass, right?
Yeah, it's a pass for me because here's the thing, right? I agree with you. I think they can win this game with Marcus Mariota. I still think the nucleus of their team is pretty strong. I give credit to Las Vegas, man. They held down the Chargers. Their offense really only scored 20 points. I think they only scored 1 touchdown, or no, it was 2 touchdowns, wasn't it? It was Keen Daddy and QJ.
Yep.
But ultimately, like they really shut them down in the second half. So kudos there. And listen, like Vegas traveling east, travel spot doesn't favor them. Short week as well. But also, listen, man, like I thought Geno was terrible, especially in crunch time. Like they had an opportunity to hang in that game, and 2 consecutive 4th downs in the 4th quarter, he takes a sack and throws it away out of bounds. I don't really understand that. He was missing the few opportunities he did have. Like, granted, the Chargers defense is crazy, bro. Like Derwin James was all over the place. They were swarming. They were playing fast. They were playing aggressive. And I don't think Washington's defense is up to that caliber. But also, like, let's be honest, Geno Smith is still capable of going out there and having a good game. It's just he was overwhelmed, as was the entire Raider offense on Monday night. So I know the recency bias is, Geno Smith is terrible. And listen, I don't, I'm not really here to say, yeah, he's a great quarterback by any stretch of the imagination. Ultimately, I think the Raiders are a little bit better than what they showed on Monday night. So, like, I don't want to overreact too much, but I can't get behind Vegas here. I think Mariota would be a solid play, laying a home 3 with the travel advantage. But this is probably something I'm going to look to stay away from altogether. Possibly look at maybe some Brock Bowers props when I get a little bit more, and we could have something for Sunday. So that's honestly why I love our schedule here. We talk about this on Wednesday, and then we have a few days to think about it, and then bring it back on Sunday.
It's funny. I think that we might get a good price on Jacoby Myers receptions, because now we get another week of Brock Bowers showing that he's healthy. Myers' reception total was pretty high last week because of Brock Bowers' uncertainty all week. But now Brock Bowers in, Jacoby's seen 22 targets in 2 games, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, worth noting. We'll circle back on this one on Sunday,
Yeah, we
but
will for sure.
it will be Washington or pass. This is probably one of the games I'm least likely to touch. All right, let's move on here. Number pulling between 7.5, 8.5 is Green Bay at Cleveland. Brad, start us off. Do you think it's Packers, or is Cleveland going to be able to pull the backdoor cover at home?
Dude, was not impressed in the slightest by the Browns week 2, from week 1 to week 2. And all it really made me do was think about how poor the Bengals defense is, right? Week 1, we're like, man, the Browns were live in that game. Joe Flacco was throwing the rock to Tillman. Now they play against the best run defense in the NFL, and they have a stable of backs where no one's clearly separated themselves. Quinton Duncan was averaging 6.4 yards per attempt, but he's still going to be on a little bit of a snap count until he's fully ready to go. Where does the success come from them? They just gonna have to hunker down defensively. I think the 7 is generous. But man, this is like not a spot that I want to be in. The Packers, what I really liked about the Packers is we knew they were going to have a good run defense. Now I wanted to see how they were able to utilize Micah Parsons, and it's like he just fit into this defense, the pass defense, like a perfect fit, like a glove on a hand, man. And I think this team has legitimate chance to win the Super Bowl this year.
Dude, to be honest, look, man, Cleveland's defense is pretty good, and ultimately, it was weird, right? Because I don't know how much of that Baltimore-Cleveland game you watched last week. Baltimore did not play well.
No.
And they made a lot of mistakes. They did not capitalize on their opportunities.
Yep.
It was overall a pretty sloppy game, but they still ended up winning by almost 4 touchdowns. I mean, they blew them out. And Cleveland was getting some nice stops here. And by the way, I think we were spot on the analysis going into that game on Sunday, where I said, hey, I think this is going to be a first, because that was a double-digit spread as well. We're like, hey, are we going to lay here? I was like, nah, and it wasn't official, but I liked Baltimore laying the points. I think that was like 11.5, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Or 10.5, because that came down. And I leaned Baltimore. And I'm like, hey, look, I think this is going to probably end up being like a 7-point game at half, which it was. And then the Ravens just completely pulled away in the second half. I think, look, man, Cleveland's got some talent, individual talent on the roster, but I have a lot of question marks. I just like what Green Bay is able to do. The one thing that concerns me, and I think is going to ultimately end up catching up to Green Bay at some point, is the receiver room. Like they don't have anybody up right now. I mean, Dobbs is solid. Golden really hasn't done anything yet. You got Watson trying to come back from an injury. You got Jaden Reed, who's on the shelf right now.
Yeah.
Tucker Kraft is really your best pass catcher. It's a game that goes through the run. Their defense has played really well. I mean, they shut down the Lions offense. They shut down the Commanders offense. And that's really been the bread and butter. And Jordan Love has been able to make things happen. He's looked great so far. But I still think despite all that, Brad, I think they're able to overcome it. And I understand 7 in the hook starts getting a little scary. But I think I'd be comfortable laying this with Green Bay.
I am you brought up this wide receiver core. I wanted to say this. I am going to be on Golden to score his first touchdown this week. The Cleveland Browns have faced the 4th highest ADOT all season. And then you go look at the success rate. It's only like 8th. They're only like the 8th highest, which means there's some correlation to the success that's coming from the long plays. So I think they're going to keep trying, and this is the game for it to happen.
Golden is plus 230 on DraftKings right now. Yeah. Pretty interesting. We're starting to get some props up on DK. I don't like how the props have been taking a little longer. I felt like in the past Wednesdays are
Wednesday was like the day. The time.
It's been a little late here. Having to wait until Thursdays. I liked how week 1 we had everything ready to go. Obviously,
That was nice.
There was a reason for that, but everything was ready to go, and we were able to start getting jumps on it. But yeah, I like Green Bay here. I'm going to take a little bit deeper dive into the props when all the lines really start coming out, and I can do a full analysis. But look, man, I think the Packers are going to keep rolling. I think in a similar fashion to the Browns-Ravens game on Sunday, this could be close in the first half, and I think Green Bay can make a few big plays in the second half that just pull them away and are able to cover this number.
Yeah, if this turns into a scrappy game, what do we expect the prospects of Joe Flacco dropping back the pass against the pass rush of the Packers? Like, it's not really high.
Yeah. That's definitely an issue, I would say. All right, Pittsburgh, New England, 1.5 bounce back for Pittsburgh, traveling to New England here. I'll be honest. I think I lean Pittsburgh here.
This was a tough one for me. This was the one I wanted to talk about. I can't remember exactly what the number was. I'm trying to find my notes real quick.
Well, while you're finding them, I'll talk about why I think Pittsburgh.
Yeah, go ahead.
Pittsburgh was playing pretty well against Seattle for most of the game. The Caleb Johnson botched kickoff kind of changed the whole trajectory there. They look good on Sam Darnold. I think there's still an issue against wide receivers. I mean, Garrett Wilson had a great game week 1. JSN, my breakout candidate this year, continued to ball. And listen, New England doesn't have that true alpha one. I don't know if I'd categorize Stephon Diggs as that guy anymore. Kayshon Boutte's had a really good start to his season, but I just don't know if New England's going to have enough weapons. I don't know if I like the way Travion Henderson's not getting worked in as much as we would like to see him there. I think Drake May is going to do a lot of good things, but ultimately, I feel like Aaron Rodgers and this offense has enough juice. Their defense is still pretty solid overall. Veteran quarterback in this spot, basically a pick 'em. It's not a sexy game. It's not something I'm rushing to the window to bet. But on a Wednesday night, I'm leaning Pittsburgh here.
Two things that I wanted to say about the Steelers that are kind of concerning me. Pass success. Second worst in the NFL is Aaron Rodgers. We talked about this before last show, like 2 shows ago, where it was weird while Aaron Rodgers' numbers were pretty bad in terms of like PFF rating and all that. And I went and dug a little bit deeper, like second lowest pass success in the NFL behind Cam Ward. And then you go and look, I'll talk about the sacks first, fourth highest sack rate in the NFL. So then what do they do to kind of combat that and make things, I guess, a little more obscure or protected? They go 12 personnel, high 12 personnel rate, but the only thing that makes them successful and not the lowest success rate is the 12 personnel. They have one of the higher success rates out of 12 personnel. So basically what that means is they're relying on a lot of 12 personnel to protect Aaron Rodgers, making the dropbacks not as bad, and to complete passes. It's not going to 12 personnel to just run the ball, which long term, and especially against a team like the Patriots, where I think they'll do a good job of keeping things in front of them, it's really hard to score if you're having to meticulously drive down the field, which makes me believe that I think the Patriots can be live in this game, but I don't think it really affects them so much. So this game, as it does long-term for the Steelers, they're going to have to figure that out. And that could just be something as simple as play calling. Obviously, a 2-week sample size is not enough to get a full picture, but that's just something to monitor, that it's not a team that can be explosive yet because it looks like they're having some protection issues.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm not rushing to the window to bet it. I like Pittsburgh's talent a little bit more. And, look, man, New England had a good win, but we were both super low on the Dolphins. So it's really hard. If you beat Miami, it's really hard for me to consider that take that into heavy account. Miami was able to do a lot of good things against that defense. They put up 27 points ultimately, and Tyreek Hill had his first breakout game of the year. Tavon Achane did awesome did awesome out of the backfield. Granted, there was a kickoff return for a touchdown for New England, but I mean, look, their offense, I think, still has some issues and some things that they need to really tighten up. Uh, I just think Pittsburgh's got a little bit more talent, and that can make up for some of the deficiencies that New England has. But I'll tell you what, man, when it comes out, because I haven't seen anything yet, I am going to be looking at a Jalen Warren prop for receiving yards. I know you're probably feeling that as well.
Yeah.
There's not really a ton out at the moment. Again, we apologize. We're doing this on Wednesday. It's also why we do a Sunday show. But receiving yards, I think Jalen Warren, I might be taking a look at. I might be cool to take him up to 40 yards here on Sunday.
Yeah, this seems pretty interesting. Where you have 17 targets coming from your tight ends, and then 15 targets coming from your running backs. That is almost what is that? That's 5 targets more than coming out of your wide receiver room out of 2 weeks. It's really weird. It's a really weird team offensively. I think you target tight ends and you target running backs for this team. If you're going to talk about yards, because wide receivers just the wide receiver play outside of DK, right? Like, what do they really have?
Yeah, I think that's where they're going to go. I think that's how they're going to attack this defense. They got cooked by Achane, and granted, Achane's one of the more explosive backs in the league. You can make
but it's a copycat league. You know that, right? Like, if one team has success doing something, another team is definitely going to try to have success doing it.
Exactly. And that's why I think a Warren prop is warranted. All right, Brad. The Rams are traveling to Philly for a playoff rematch. If you remember, in the regular season, Philly handled business against this Rams team. Saquon Barkley went absolutely bonkers, nuclear, straight up. Look, man, the Rams are 2-0. They won 2 ugly games, in my opinion. They did not look great against Houston. 14 points. Granted, it was against what I consider one of the top defenses in the league. And the Houston offense is kind of making a lot of these defenses look good. And against the Titans, I mean, I got to be honest, man. The Titans looked solid. They were in contention there. It was really a Cam Ward fumble deep in their own territory that turned the game. So the final score looked a little bit bigger than maybe it could have been. I thought the Titans definitely had a chance to win that game. I just think at the end they sort of fell apart and they started shooting themselves in the foot with turnovers and mistakes. But I mean, dude, going into halftime, Tennessee had a 13-13 lead. And going into the fourth quarter, the Rams were only up 20-16. So, the Rams really haven't played a complete game, in my opinion. I mean, on paper, you might say, oh, well, they scored 33 and only allowed 19 to the Titans last week. But again, if you watch the game, it was a lot closer than, the 14-point difference. Going to Philadelphia, who also really hasn't played a complete game either. I just think the Eagles have a lot more depth and they have a lot more talent on both sides of the ball, top to bottom. I think the top playmakers for the Rams are better. Overall, at the receiver position, obviously Saquon's got the edge over Kyron Williams. And I think overall as a passer, I'm still taking Matthew Stafford, in a 1-game sample size here. And the defense, the Rams got some guys. Jared versus a dog for sure. But just there's so much talent to contend with. I think 3 and a hook, and if I'm not mistaken, it was 3 and a hook last year in LA, if memory serves correctly. I might be wrong about that. I think Philly at home, LA, tough travel spot coming across country. I don't know if they're going to be able to withstand what Philly's going to be able to do, especially if Saquon Barkley's getting 25 carries.
Interesting scheduling situation for the Rams, because you would have hoped, or you would have thought or imagined that you would have played a tougher opponent in the Houston Texans, who have seemed to be out that offense still is looking for something. Probably should have ran the ball with Woody Marks a little bit more in week 1. Then they go and play the Titans. Now they have to play the defending Super Bowl champs on the road. It's a weird spot. 2-1 doesn't sound bad. What the Rams do so well defensively, I think the Eagles don't really mind. Rams great pass rush, one of the highest pressure percentages in the NFL right now through 2 weeks. But the Eagles aren't dropping back. If I remember correctly, the Eagles have the fewest passing yards of any team in the NFL right now. Jalen Hurts hasn't thrown a touchdown. And if we want to talk about dropbacks, they have one of the fewest dropbacks as well. And when there's pressure, Jalen Hurts generally has done the right thing so far this season. So now you go and like think about how's the Rams run defense, and it's mediocre, right? I think the Eagles win this game, but I don't want to get into the -3.5 territory. I think 3 is a pretty fair price, which would make me like from just a pricing standpoint would make me lean the Rams, just because I think this game is going to be a lot more low scoring than people probably think, at least initially, which kind of doesn't leave a lot of room for a cover percentage when you're getting the 3.5.
Yeah, no, totally understand. I do like the Eagles to win this game. I'm probably on the side of taking Philly with the 3 and a hook. I know
Okay.
that's what's getting into shady territory. Rams are absolutely capable of going in there and walking away with a win for sure. But I just feel like ultimately Philadelphia right now, they haven't hit their stride.
Yeah.
They're not there yet. They haven't even gotten AJ Brown involved. Saquon Barkley really hasn't snapped yet. Once that happens, it's tough. And look, here's the thing. Kyron Williams, and we talked about this coming into the year. And granted, it's been a really tough start to the season in terms of schedule for Kyron Williams. Had to face the Texans, had to face the Titans, has to face the Eagles now. I don't know how much success that the Rams are going to have running the ball. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like you could be running into a brick wall every day. Like, listen, maybe Blake Corum gets a big run. Maybe Kyron breaks one. But if we're
I don't want to hear that name ever again, Blake Corum. He stole that touchdown to hit my other parlay.
He did steal that touchdown. I was
Yeah.
pissed. I didn't know if Kyron was hurt. Like, why is he not in? But look, man, I feel like if the Eagles or the Rams are giving Kyron the ball 20 times, most of those runs are going to be right into a brick wall. It's going to be 2 yards in a cloud of dust. So that would end up making this game more one-dimensional. And granted, look, man, the Rams are one of the few teams that can win with a pass-heavy approach consistently. You got 2 dogs in Tay and Puka and Stafford.
Yeah.
But that pass rush gets going, man. You start having to get Stafford on the move. I'll put it to you this way. I think there's more paths for Philadelphia to win this game convincingly than there is for LA to win. Like LA's got to really excel in the pass game. Their running game's got to be at least decent, and their defense has to make a couple big stops, a couple big plays, maybe a turnover or two. So I understand the thought process of taking the Rams with the 3.5. I do like Philly to win this game, but right now where I'm standing, I'm gonna roll with Philly -3.5. Maybe that changes come Sunday, but I'm circling this one.
If the Rams can stop the run game of the Eagles, I would be interested to see what this pass game looks like. It's weird. It just feels like the Eagles are in this weird kind of like almost autopilot kind of mode, right? Like they're just doing their thing. It's really fun to watch. They're basically taking what the other team's giving them, right? Like doesn't need to be high flying, doesn't need to be high octane. It just needs to be decisive and winning.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty, and for what it's worth, like Philly was only up 13-7 going into halftime last year.
Yeah, then I mean they probably should have been down in that game if it weren't for that Travis Kelce blunder. Whereas he had a bar of soap in his hands.
I'm talking about Eagles Rams from last year.
Oh, I think you're talking about when the game was close between Eagles Chiefs last week.
No.
And then Travis Kelce put butter on his hands.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm rolling with Philly for now. All right. Colts, Titans. This line was 3.5. It's moving up here. A lot of people buying the Colts. Brad, important question for you. Is this a sell high spot for Indy?
Oh my God, bro. I don't know what to do with the Colts. Daniel Jones last week, listen to the stat line. 23 for 34, 316 yards and a touchdown, 11 incompletions. Daniel Jones has the highest, let me make sure I say this number right, has the highest pass success in the NFL of all quarterbacks. Daniel Jones. That's not sustainable, man. There's no way. I don't believe that that's sustainable. But is this the week? Or are we going to get a different game a little bit sooner where the number just becomes insane, right? When they, like, let's say they start 4-0. They start 4-0. They beat the Titans and the Colts. Then they play like the Raiders. And then they're a 6.5 or 7-point favorite against the Raiders. Then that's going to be like massive sell high. I can't believe this line's 4.5. It was at 3.5, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, man. I'm just not ready to trust the Titans yet. That's my problem. Not ready. They're going through everything that happens when you have a rookie quarterback, right? It's just like growing pains. It's not that he's playing poorly. It's just small things. But sometimes those small things add up throughout a game, and that's how you blow a cover.
I went with the Titans the first 2 weeks. I'm leaning at going back to the well here. I think it's going to get figured out. I really do.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are down on them. You know, some of the box scores don't look flattering, but they showed a lot of really good things in that Rams game. You know, Cam Ward had an amazing play. Ellick, I'm going to butcher his last name, made an unbelievable touchdown catch.
Oh, yeah.
You know, look, man, divisional game, Titans are 0-2. I mean, at some point, I think it's going to click for them. And I feel like Indy is in a sell high spot. It's coming. I don't think Indy is as good as what they've shown. Miami week 1, I think Miami's going to get a train ran on them this year. Denver, they played really well, man. Like they handled what's supposed to be the top defense in the NFL. They shut down the Broncos offense in the second half last week.
Yeah.
I just feel like Tennessee, it's going to get clicking for them. I'm leaning at taking the Titans 4.5. They need to get a win. 0-2, like I said, you start 0-3, then it really starts getting dicey for you to make a playoff run, especially in the AFC, where there's a lot of teams. Where realistically, the AFC West could be sending 3 teams to the playoffs. The AFC North could send 2 teams if Cincinnati can keep their head above water. You know, the Bills are going to be in, so it's really gonna get dicey. I feel like Tennessee, I like them with the 4.5. I think it's going to click for them at some point. You know, look, man, the biggest question is how do they stop Jonathan Taylor? They've done pretty well overall against running back so far in weeks 1 and 2. JT, a little bit different animal. So that's the big thing. Can they stop him and really start making Daniel Jones beat them straight up? Big question. Midweek look, I'm rolling with Tennessee here with the 4.5. Not brave enough to take them on the money line this week.
Man, I applaud your bravery, but listen, they say 3 strikes you're out. Are you going to go back to well anytime soon if they don't cover in this match?
We'll see, man. They got Houston next week, so
yeah.
All right, Jets at Tampa. Briefly touched on this game. Brad, I'm going with Tampa. I know the Justin Fields injury is baked into the line. There's some 7s popping up, but here's the thing, dude. I would have took 6.5 even with Fields.
Yep.
It has nothing to do with what happened last week. The Fields injury and substituting him for Tyrod is definitely a bonus. I know Tampa on a short week. This is their home opener. I really love Tampa this year. I had Tampa as my team to represent out of the NFC.
Yep.
Preseason on the show, on my articles for RotoWire. I like the Bucs a lot. They haven't even played a clean game either, and they still keep finding ways to win. The biggest concern is their offensive line right now dealing with injuries. Luke Gedeke got banged up again.
Yep.
Tristan Wirfs, they need him back desperately. But Baker Mayfield, man, that guy's he's a dog, dude. He's a competitor. Emeka Egbuka looks good. Mike Evans really hasn't gotten ripping, but he's being productive. Their defense has been solid. Definitely some things they got to clean up there. But, you know, look, man, Tampa at home against the Jets with Tyrod Taylor. I know it might be a big public spot this week, and it might be a sucker play, but I'm rolling with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, man. I think they are a really good team. I think they're for real this year. And like I said, they have not played a complete game yet.
Yeah, a couple things about the Bucks. They need to do better at stopping pass catchers out of the backfield. Just seems like probably their one weakness there. Maybe look for some Brees Hall passing reception props out of the backfield, especially with Tyrod starting there. I'm not really overly concerned about the Bucks not covering, because what is Tyrod and the Jets game plan? Like, they're not going to just go and throw for 300 yards, and they're certainly not going to run against arguably one of the best run defenses in the NFL. Kalijah Kancey being out is kind of a bummer, possible torn pec. But man, I'm to forget the name of the rookie DN that came in for him, edge rusher. Dude's pretty good. A bunch of good rookies on this Bucks team, actually. I think the Bucks cover in this game. I also want to add one thing. It's going to be creamsicle night too, busting out the white creamsicles.
Yeah, I actually gave out Tampa last night on my card here, official. I'll tease that one because I think ultimately throughout the week this line's going to move. I can see this line. There's sevens popping up. I can see this line get up to 7.5, possibly 8 if there's some big money coming in. I think it's a tough matchup for the Jets. Like, how is their offense going to score? Tyrod Taylor dropping back 30 plus times that's a tough sell for me. And then how are they going to run the ball against a Tampa defense that does really good against the run? You know what I'm saying? So I feel like this is one-way traffic for Tampa Bay.
Yep, I agree.
Backup quarterbacks, Bengals, Vikings. Jake Browning did a great job weathering the storm, being captain of the ship against Jacksonville on Sunday. Scored the game-winning touchdown. Is it enough against Minnesota starting Carson Wentz?
No, dude, I don't think so. Minnesota also loses Aaron Jones. Important to note there. I don't think so. I just don't think. I think Carson Wentz has been through the fire, right? He's seen it all. He's had the highs of being a Super Bowl champion, the lows of being in a bad team, getting benched, all of that. Playing against a Bengals defense that is nothing like the Atlanta Falcons defense, who I think is a legitimate defense this year. Jake Browning's he's a gunslinger, right? He's not afraid of anything, but I do think he'll be making mistakes against a really good Vikings defense. I think that the Vikings win and cover in this game, but I just feel like I don't have to bet this one. 2 backups, maybe like there's no real reason that I should be like I'm compelled to bet the Vikings because I think their defense is going to withstand the Jake Browning attack. Yeah, sure, but offensively they haven't done great. And their offensive line's kind of a joke. And Carson Wentz hasn't played in quite some time. So I lean the Vikings, but I don't find a real compelling reason for me to actually bet this one.
You know, Minnesota defensively at least played overall pretty solid game against Atlanta. Bijan had himself a day, but Bijan's Bijan. And Atlanta was pretty much at full strength for the most part.
Yeah.
Had JJ McCarthy had any shred of competence, I mean, Minnesota probably wins that game.
Yep.
There's a lot of opportunities for them to win. Atlanta only won because Minnesota kept giving it back to them. I feel like, dude, honestly, Cincinnati's fun, but the Vikings defense is not the Jags defense. It's a little bit different. And Minnesota was dealing with some key injuries, and their defense still did pretty well against Michael Penix and Drake London and Kyle Pitts. And, Bijan had his. Fine. I think I'd probably lean Vikings or pass here. Because like you said, look, I don't have a problem with Jake Browning, but it's the same story as always with the Bengals. It's their defense. If Carson Wentz is even a somewhat upgrade over JJ McCarthy, I think the Vikings have a pretty good shot to get this one done.
I think he doesn't need to be an upgrade. I think he just needs to be neutral, right? Like JJ McCarthy has done both. He's been successful and unsuccessful in his tenure. He's played 5 bad quarters, 1 a super amazing quarter. So just be neutral.
Yeah. I think for what it's worth, Jordan Mason, I'm chopping at the bit to bet his carries.
Oh yeah.
They're not out yet. I gotta imagine this guy's getting 20 carries this week. Also, I have him on fantasy team. I'm debating if I'm going to start him over one of my guys, Swift, Kyron, or Hubbard. But decisions. Yeah, leaning Minnesota, and can't wait for Jordan Mason. Might roll with a Jettas. Might roll with a Jettas yards play, facing his former LSU running mate. I think that's going to be a great one.
Yeah.
So I'm excited there. Jags. Brad, Jags moved up from 1.5 to 2.5. Are you buying Jacksonville to sink Houston 0-3?
What a blown game from the Jaguars. That was brutal. Also, what a blown game from the Texans. Not brutal for me. I was happy. Gosh. This one's hard, man. This one's really hard. Go ahead. What do you think?
It's easy for me. I like Jacksonville.
Yeah. You're not a believer in this this Texans team is
No, I wasn't a believer in them. Dude, I really like their defense. I think their defense is really
nice,
good.
but their offense, it's weird.
I mean, look, man, maybe divisional game. We're 0-2, backs against the wall. We're gonna figure it out. Possibly. Very, very possible. And by the way, there's a 1.5 on DK. I think Jacksonville's gonna win this game. Yeah, they blew the game last week, but I like what I've seen from the offense. Okay, fine. They played against Carolina, but they still could have looked bad against Carolina. They didn't. Cincinnati's defense is shit. They could have looked shit again. They could have looked bad against Cincinnati. They didn't. They're playing better football. I'm not gonna sit here and say, hey, I'm buying high on them. They're a team that I think is going to win the AFC South. Maybe they will, but as of right now, heading into week 3, I'm not there yet. I can't simply sit here and bet Houston because, hey, they need a win. That's not enough of a handicap for me. Their defense being able to hold down Jacksonville to under 20 points, and maybe their offense has a shred of competency. Maybe. Very possible. But again, we keep running into the same circles. Nico Collins is the only guy they have. And then they just stopped throwing him the ball in the second half, by the way.
Dude, they did.
After Nico Collins had an amazing touchdown catch, they just stopped throwing him the ball. They have no number 2 receiver. Christian Kirk, I think, is going to be back, but we have no idea what he's going to look like. Facing a soft tissue injury, nursing that back. The run game, Nick Chubb did not have a good game despite a 25-yard touchdown to save his night. Woody Marks, that's the big thing. Like, when are they going to start getting him going? He got a little bit more touches on Monday, and he looked good. He looked explosive. So, I don't know when they're going to start really getting him more touches, whether that's carries or, work in the pass game. But until I see it from Houston's offense, dude, I cannot buy it. Their defense is going to have to score some touchdowns or create really good field position for them to win this game. I just think Jacksonville looks a little bit more fluid right now. And I think at home, especially also, like they're off a bad loss as well. Houston on a short week, travel spot. I think I like Jacksonville here.
All right.
All right. New Orleans, Seattle, 7.5 points. Brad, I think this is Seahawks for me, man. New Orleans has looked competitive in their first 2 games. They're at home. Now they're traveling to Pacific Northwest. Very tough place to play. Seahawks haven't looked clean, but we've seen when they put it together for even a little stretch what they can be. JSN's just been unstoppable. This guy's a dog. Every week is going to be a catches over, receptions over. At some point in the near future, they're probably going to start putting them at 8.5, like they had Cooper Kupp a few years ago at the 2021 run. Look, man, I know New Orleans got some gamers. You got Kamara, you got Shaheed who can take the top off of defense. Chris Olave, Juwan Johnson's been solid. I think this is Seattle. I feel like the Seahawks at home here. They had a good win in week 2, but I think Sam Darnold and Jackson Smith and Jigba are just going to be too much. You got Kenny Walker who had a great game. That's big for his confidence level. Charbonnet's dealing with a foot injury, so TBD on him. I just feel like Seattle's going to make too many more plays. I think New Orleans, while they have been competitive, doing it on the road against a team that is capable of
Especially
putting
in
up a 30
Seattle.
beans, a little bit different.
Yeah, this is one of those midday kind of we just go and get blown out where focus is not on there. There's a couple of these a week where 7-point spread, you have an East Coast team traveling way the frick over there. They play in the middle of the day and they just sleep at the wheel because there's nothing about this New Orleans team that you write home about, something that they can lean back on. Run game's not great, pass game's not great. Yeah, they do have the explosives in there, which we keep talking about, which is nice, but it's not sustainable, I don't think. And I think I was really impressed with Seattle. Sam AD did a little bit of both. Had a great game and had a poor game, but they didn't let that really impact or affect their outcome of the game. I think Seattle covers in this one. I just haven't been a buyer in New Orleans pretty much all season either.
Projected to be the worst team in the NFL
Yeah.
coming into the year. Look, man, they got some fight though. They fought tough against San Francisco, but even still, San Francisco was missing Kittle. They were missing Brock Purdy and had Mac Jones. I mean, come on. And they still let up 26 points. I think this is a Seattle spot, 7 and a hook. I feel like Seattle should win this one by double digits here in the Pacific Northwest. I actually ended up missing the last 1 o'clock game, so I do apologize. Atlanta against Carolina, 5.5 at Carolina. Brad, start me off with this one.
What the crap happened to that Panthers team? I know it was a meltdown by the Cardinals, but it was like out of nowhere, Bryce Young flipped a switch and said, I know how to play football again. It was phenomenal passing, phenomenal decision making, also phenomenal will. It was 4th and 4. That ball down the middle of the field to don't even remember who it was to. First down and then some. Probably could have been dead to rights, stepped up into the pocket, didn't decide to take off, actually threw the ball on the run, going straight forward, taking the space that was given to him. Like those are veteran plays. I think 5's a lot. I think the Falcons too. We've seen with this Falcons that their defense is legit. Offense still kind of figuring themselves out. Yeah, they have Bijan Robinson, but I don't think this is a team that's just going to go out there and be racking a ton of points, and also kind of shaky kicking game too. So they could leave some points out there. I think the Panthers can take more away from that Cardinals game than we're probably thinking in terms of momentum, confidence, and belief. I think that's a good building point and stepping stone. Divisional game, 5 points. I'm taking the Panthers.
I totally understand it, but I'm going to go on the opposite side here. I think, look, Carolina had some momentum. Divisional games totally different. Absolutely, no doubt about it. But I think Carolina, really only had that success because Cardinals took their foot off the gas.
Yeah,
they were not playing with the same intensity and the same energy that they were in the first half. And Atlanta, they struggled against a great defense in Minnesota. Their defense looked good. I'm still not of the belief that they're an elite defense. I've seen this movie way too many times growing up as a Falcons fan. I've liked the efforts that I've seen. I'm not really understanding the usage or lack thereof for Chuba Hubbard, especially lately. Like there was a lot of Rico Dowdle on the field in the second half of that game. Hubbard's not getting the workload that I thought he would. It's not like he's not getting anything, but I was probably expecting 15 to 20 carries the first 2 weeks and him on the field a lot more. He's looked good in the pass game. Look, Ted McMillan's a dog. He's probably going to get his. AJ Terrell is week to week here with the hammy injury. I like Atlanta because I think the Falcons are going to kind of get back to basics here and carve up this Carolina defense. I just don't really have a lot of belief that the Panthers are going to do much in the way of stopping Atlanta's offense. I think Penix is in for a bounce-back game. Drake London, definitely. Darnell Mooney's back. And I think this is going to be a lot of Bijan. I had Connor having a great game in week 2, but the crazy thing is, dude, they barely gave him the ball. Like, I expected Connor to have close to 20 carries. And then in the second half, it was a lot of Trey Benson. And, that's not going to happen with Bijan. Bijan's going to get his 18 plus carries. I like Bijan's yards here. I'm going to keep going against Carolina. He's he's in the 80s right now with the yards. He's 82.5. I like the over there. I think I'm probably going to look at taking some alts, maybe 90 plus, 100 plus, probably 110. I just think Michael Penix and company get this one rolling here in week 3 until Carolina really shows me that they can put it together for a full game over the course of a couple weeks. Because let's be honest, 99 out of 100, they don't come back and cover that game.
Yeah. The cover expectancy was what, 99.5%?
I think I don't have the stat in front of me, but something along the lines of in the last, I don't know if it was all time. When a team is
It was all time.
All time, when a team was up 24 points, they had covered 111 out of 111 until Sunday when Arizona were on that side, obviously. I don't know if I'm buying Carolina having a good quarter and a half of football as that's going to propel them. Maybe it does. Like, I'll probably take a look at some Tet McMillan receiving yards. I think this guy's legit, man. We're seeing him make unbelievable catches every week. And, if there's going to be a pass heavy game script, 64.5 right now on DK, I'd probably take a look at Tet. But I think Michael Penix is going to get this thing figured out. He hasn't looked bad. He looked really good in week 1. Week 2 was a little bit more difficult, and they went ultra heavy on the run in their game script.
Yeah.
All right, Denver at the Chargers, big AFC West match. Both looking really good. Defense is looking amazing. Justin Herbert is MVP caliber right now. Do you think the Chargers keep it rolling, or is Denver in for a bounce back?
I do think the Chargers keep it rolling here, but two things I want to talk about. First, like, Vegas has no idea how to price the Chargers. They price the Chargers as a 3-point favorite against the Raiders, and then turn around and price them as a 3-point favorite against the Broncos. And if you think about power ratings, there's no way you have the Broncos and the Raiders even in similar power ratings. Next thing I want to talk about is,
well, hold on. What's the line? What's the line if the Chargers are home against the Raiders, you think?
Gotta be 6. 5.5, 6.
I would have thought 6.
Which is insane to me. I think that, what was my thought? Jesse Minter has this defense doing everything that you want from a championship caliber defense, getting pressure on the quarterback, keeping guys in front of you, and then being aggressive at the point of attack. Whether they're running the ball and they get past the line of scrimmage, boom, stop, no more than 1-2 yards after the line of scrimmage, after contact, or they're catching the ball in open space, boom, tackle, stop. That's like really good, high level defensive play. What I mean by high level is like Super Bowl caliber teams. And offensively, how fun does this wide receiver core look for Justin Herbert, right? Keenan Allen, Quentin, Ladd, dude, like, he's got everything he wants. Trey even going in there and make some plays. Man,
it's a tough one.
It's a tough one because I think everything I say, and when you look at the line, it says you have to take the Broncos. Like, they're power rating the Broncos like on the exact same level. And now
I hate that. I've been on so many favorites this week.
You're getting okay. So if the books are saying that these two teams are power rated the same, debate with their pick them on a neutral site. You're getting 2.5 away. Is LA really worth 2.5 in real life? No, it's not a daunting home field advantage. Maybe worth a point, maybe worth a point to a point and a half. So I think that just tells you have to take the Broncos if you're just doing it from a numbers perspective.
Yeah, but then you look at sort of the intangibles. You look at the eye test. The eye test hasn't looked good for Denver. I mean, their defense got destroyed by Indianapolis.
Yeah.
especially, in the second half. They didn't look great against Tennessee either. I mean, convincingly, the Chargers handled the Chiefs. They were able to handle the Raiders fine, but Denver hasn't looked like Denver. And I understand this is Denver's first divisional game. They're 1-1. They're understanding the importance of winning these because this could be a 3-team race in the AFC West.
Yep.
Not even factoring the home field advantage thing. I just, the strength of Denver, what made them so good last year was their defense. And I still think their defense is top tier in the NFL, but it has not played like it. Surtain did not look good. I know he got banged up for a minute in week 2. But he was letting up some key catches. And look, man, to be honest, if Denver's defense isn't gelling right now and looking near that top of the board defense, I still think Bo Nix is a dog, but you're going against a Chargers defense that was the best scoring defense in the NFL last year. And they're off to a pretty good start in 2025.
Does this become one of those things where we're like, man, why didn't we just unload on the Chargers again? Because the books just have them wrong.
Yeah, and look, man, I know the NFL, it's sharp sides. But I think we've seen this in the past, and we've talked about this a bunch. In the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season, the numbers aren't always truly accurate because you could look at the numbers now in week 3, see where they are pre Sunday, and then in a couple months you look back, you say, well, wait, how is this team only a 2.5 point favorite to this team? Or how is this team an underdog to that team?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's not a big enough sample size. So I feel like the books are still trying to gather information at this point in the season. So there's an opportunity for us to do well in the early part of the year as we, take some chances and get a better understanding of what these teams look like. Just eye test, the Chargers look better.
They do.
And really, it starts with their defense. And Justin Herbert looks – I think you could really make a case Justin Herbert looks like the best quarterback in the NFL through 2 games this year.
Yep.
I'm leaning at taking the Chargers. I probably wouldn't even lay the 2.5. I'd probably just take the money line because I do think this is going to end up being a close game. And, on FanDuel, it's minus 120 for the 2.5. So this looks like it's about to tip to 3 in the next couple days. Now, granted, if you're getting 3 points, then maybe I'd look at taking Denver on the spread. But I think ultimately the Chargers are going to end up winning this game.
What's the money line? Minus 140?
156 on FanDuel, 155 on DK.
Yep. That makes sense. They nothing here is free in these worlds. You can't get the minus 140 when it's minus 2.5 line.
Yeah.
That's what surprised me, but it's overly protective because people probably
little steep on a money line for a 2.5 point spread.
Yep.
Little steep. All right, Arizona at San Francisco. Brock Purdy, status TBD. I don't think he's going to play. I think that's typical Kyle Shanahan bullshit where he tries to make the opposing team have to really game plan for Purdy and Mac Jones. Arizona is a different team on the road. They also are the most high variance, strangest team in the NFL where it's just sometimes they don't decide to show up. I don't really have a good read on this on a Wednesday. I think I might be early inclined to go with Arizona here. It's not super confident, but I think I trust Kyler Murray a little bit more than Mac Jones. And George Kittle's still out. Really, you're relying on Ricky Pearsall and Christian McCaffrey to really carry the boat here. And I don't love San Francisco's defense. It's to me, it's not the unit that was Super Bowl contending a few years ago. It's not. It's not bad by any stretch. It's a solid defense, but I think it all comes down to quantifying the effort level. Does Arizona decide to come out and really play? If we're looking at straight X's and O's, I think the Cardinals are a solid play here. I think one of the few dogs I have, I might roll with the Arizona getting the points and getting the flat out money line victory.
Yeah, I think if Mac Jones comes back out, I'm going to go Arizona. Not because I don't trust Mac Jones, but he got the win, right? Got the win last week. Was okay. This Arizona team, like they if they would have still if the 21 unanswered whatever was never happened, we're talking about this a totally different number here.
By the way, Rattler had a pretty solid game.
Yeah,
207, 3 scores.
Too many question marks on the 49ers team for me. Even though you lost Juszczyk probably for a little bit, which is just another wrinkle to that offense. I lean the Cardinals here.
This was a 19-14 game going to the fourth quarter, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a very, very close game. If Arizona can limit the big plays on San Francisco's part and somewhat keep McCaffrey in check, I think they're going to have a pretty good chance of winning this game. So I think if the Cardinals side show up, I think they got this one. All right, Dallas and Chicago.
Jesus, man.
I mean, from a fantasy and from a points perspective, entertainment, this is going to be up there this week.
That is. The Cowboys lose Bland, and they were already in trouble in the secondary. I didn't think it'd get much worse. It got worse. But that said, Dak Prescott, as much shit as I've given Dak Prescott in his time playing football that I've been watching, was not losing that game. He did everything he could to willpower his team late in that game, and his defense tried to let him down. Chicago Bears got mollywopped, but that was predictable on my side just because I thought they just go into a team that's really good, has high aspirations. The Bears, this is going to be an interesting one. I think the Cowboys win this one, but with that secondary, I just can't wholeheartedly put money in them. DeAndre Swift's a little banged up too for the Bears, which takes it away. Maybe you can think about Rome yards or Rome receptions in this game. I think that's
what do we say last Sunday? Rome Daddy to get in the end zone.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm with you, dude. This should be a game with a lot of overs. I like Lamb, another big game, third straight 100-yard game. His over right now, his total right now is 81.5 on FanDuel. Again, it's not out everywhere, but just it'll give you an idea because for the most part, these books are pretty close in their projections. Lamb 81.5. Jalen Johnson's out for the season. Look, man, Chicago got destroyed. Amon-Ra dry humped them up and down the field. Jahmyr Gibbs had a big one. I don't think it's simple. Hey, it's a revenge spot. They're going to come home. They're 0-2. They need a win, so we're gonna lock it down. I don't think they're there yet. I feel like Lamb's in line for a big game. I like Rome Daddy to have a big game. I think I'm going to take Dallas here.
Yeah,
because Chicago has been struggling a lot. Their offense is not in sync whatsoever. And Dallas with Dak Prescott, who's a seasoned vet in this league at this point in his career, he's got the weapons. He knows exactly what he has to do. He knows his offense. He's not learning on the fly like Caleb Williams is in his second year. Prescott's experienced. I do concerned about the Dallas defense, but ultimately this could end up being one of these lines that we're coming into week 3. And then in 2 months, we look back and be like, Dallas was really an underdog to the Chicago team. You know what I'm saying? Like Dallas was an underdog. I like the Cowboys, man. I know their defense is Swiss cheese, and the Bears are capable of putting up points because they can present a handful of matchup problems.
Yeah.
But I like the Cowboys a little bit more. Let me ask you, at the end of the drive, game on the line, would you trust Chicago to get it done at the end, or would you trust Dallas? Last drive, down. Would you rather have Dak Prescott?
You'd rather have Dak.
You'd rather have Dak down 4, last drive, needs to go get a touchdown and win over Caleb Williams in that same situation.
Yeah, 100%.
And honestly, that's what it might come down to. I like Dallas here. I think the wrong team's the underdog. It's basically a pick 'em on the money line, but Cowboys are getting a 1.5. Keep it. I like the Cowboys,
Yeah.
and I like some overs, so we'll be getting into those on Sunday as well. Sunday Night Football is Kansas City at the Giants. The 0-2 Chiefs at the 0-2 Giants. Yeah, that's a mistake. Brad, it's got to be Kansas City, right?
Gotta be Kansas City. Like the team that I trust to do or die more. And like the Giants are just gonna have like this cheese secondary to pass on. Um, but I am concerned about the Kansas City Chiefs because the Kansas City Chiefs, starting a couple years ago, were turned into this run heavy team where not only were they running it a ton, they were having a lot of success running the ball. And then I don't want to say they didn't invest in their wide receiver core, but their wide receiver core lacked investment, lacked quality skill. Now without Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy a little banged up, probably questionable at best for this game. Their wide receiver core is still really scary to me. I still have a lot of question marks about it, but this is still a championship caliber team, and it's super do or die. I don't think the Kansas City Chiefs can afford to play around with their food in here. I think this is one where they have to go. They have to make a statement. And by statement, it's not what other people think. I think it's more of a locker room thing. Go get a big win on the road. Now you start building. It's not about anything other than this game, because you drop this game, your chances of making the playoffs absolutely crash.
Yeah. I agree. It's 5.5 on FanDuel, 6 on DK. So you could see, with 5.5 on FanDuel, it's minus 120. So that's pushing 6. I want to lock this in before it hits 6. I agree with everything you said. 0-2 KC Mahomes. I think he's going to do a lot of things, that Patrick Mahomes does. He's going to have to be Superman. He's going to have to make up for some of the talent deficits in the wide receiver room. And I think Kansas City is going to come ready to play. I think Russell Wilson had an out-of-body experience through a few moon balls that ended up happening on some busted Dallas coverages. I think this is Kansas City all the way. It's probably going to be a lot of the same sentiment for many bettors, which is probably why it's going to be one of the bigger public plays. Look, man, if the Giants, even at home, end up covering this, so be it. But Patrick Mahomes, I don't think he's going to let it happen. I'm not out on the Chiefs. I still think the Chiefs are a Super Bowl contender, especially when their guys get back. But they just need to keep their head above water until that happens. Give me Kansas City laying the 5.5. Nightcap on Monday. Detroit at Baltimore. What a game. Highest total of the week at 52.5. Brad, what is this spot?
There's your Royal Mint, bro. I still think this is a smash over, even at the 52.5. It's a primetime game, but if this would have been like a 45 or 46.5, I'd have been like, everyone's gonna bet the over and it's gonna go under. Nah, I think this game sees fireworks. I'm really excited for this game. I don't care who wins. I know you're gonna be on the Lions. Just give me points.
I agree. I like this this over as well. I think it's going to be a lot of fireworks.
Yeah.
I'm leaning Lions here with the Royal Mint spot. You know my drill. I know Baltimore at home. Baltimore's got their own issues. I mean, week one, their offense looks amazing. Other than the Derrick Henry fumble, their offense looks amazing. Their defense looks like shit. Week 2, their offense really wasn't that great. I know Lamar had a big game. He had some big throws. Like he had a great throw to D-Hop, but honestly, I think it was a better catch for D-Hop to get around the defender. They weren't crazy efficient in the red zone. Really, I think they had a defensive touchdown early in maybe the second half that kind of got them going. And look, man, I'm not going to sit here and say Detroit's all the way back. I think, they had a lot of emotions facing Ben Johnson and Chicago, still figuring it out. It's a different animal when you're facing Baltimore, but look, man, they still have the talent and maybe they did figure it out. They have a lot of weapons. They're able to create some mismatches here. So I feel like Detroit can keep this one close,
Yeah.
but ultimately, I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest with you. If this line ends up closing at 6, like before Monday night kickoff, because the Royal Mint is something I will religiously bet.
Yeah.
There's very few cases I won't take it. So I have to. It's like when you play roulette and you stick to one color. Like you're always going to get bet black, or you're always going to
Yep.
bet red, and you don't flip flop. It's just
Yep.
that's how it is for me with the Royal Mint spot. And I know DraftKings right now has it down at 4.5, which is pretty interesting. But I do like the over here as well. I think that's going to happen. Definitely going to be looking at some props, maybe a Henry bounce back game. As we had a comment here from Marty Chamberlain, since 2023 Chiefs second half under 70%, also since 2018. That's an interesting note.
That's a
Thank
good
you.
one, Marty. Thanks for tuning in, by the
Yeah,
way. Too, bro.
thank you for the nugget, Marty. Appreciate that. That's a very good note. Take that into account. Live betting as well. But Brad, this is going to be a big one.
Yeah, dude.
God.
This is the one that you drum up the parlays for, boys. Right? We've had some very bad. I don't want to say very bad because we also have to remember the Ravens Bills was a banger, but we've had some not so thrilling primetime games over the last 2 weeks for betting props. This is one that you're going to have a little bit of fun with.
Yeah, this is going to be one where some asshole takes 4 touchdown scores in the same game and probably hits. Let's take a look at that. I don't know if there's any touchdowns. Let's just if we're having fun on this game, because touchdown scores are on DK. Who's 4 players you're parlaying for a touchdown in this game?
In this game,
Yeah.
Back to JMO. I think Bateman finds the end zone. There's always one that you're like,
In a
wow.
parlay?
Yeah. JMO,
Okay.
Bateman, those are 2 really good ones. Got to go back with Amon-Ra St. Brown. And let me see, secondary. I'll probably go Lamar Jackson. That would be pretty good odds.
I like it. All right, so that's 60-1.
Yeah.
So $100 bet's going to win you $6K. I got to be honest, I might take that. You know, it's interesting because, like, clearly I'd be surprised if one of Henry or Gibbs doesn't get in.
Yeah,
And
I think
Gibbs is only minus 120. That's not bad.
think
Henry's 230, though. I mean,
I think there's a real chance Gibbs gets in the end zone, right? Like, it's just, man, I kind of want to be betting him and then Monty scores, or be betting Monty and then Gibbs scores. And
yeah.
I'm done with Henry. Like, nothing personal, but dude, I can't do it no more. I just can't, bro. Like, I can't. After last week, I put him in a parlay at minus 200. I've learned my lesson.
Well, they had the ball at the 1-yard line, and then they because you know what happened? I think it was D-Hop knee down at the 1. It was called a touchdown, then reviewed, knee down at the 1. And I was telling my buddies, I'm like, watch, they're not going to run it here. It was first down. I told them, I'm like, watch, they're not going to run it here at the 1-yard line because they want Lamar to get that touchdown. First play, they run play action. Don't get it. And then I think there was a penalty, and then there was a sack, and then they eventually had to settle for a field goal.
Yeah.
So look, that was let's call it what it. That was a great game plan by Cleveland to shut down Derrick Henry. Zay Flowers possibly. Amon-Ra, he had 3 scores. Absolutely insane. He had 3 scores. But look, I think he's live to get in the end zone here. I like this dude. JMO live. Bateman's interesting. Bateman's the big that's the big swing guy. This would actually be interesting for a ghost. If there's on DraftKings a ghost parlay offered for the Monday night game, I would take this because I think Bateman's a little bit higher variance to score. That could be one that we throw in at the ghost leg and see if you hit the other 3, and then the ghost leg's allowing you to miss one. But I'm going to circle this one. I like this one. I think this is a very interesting parlay.
Should be fun.
Any love for Devontae Walker? He got in the end zone a couple times, I think. 370. D-Hop 370.
I mean, that's why you bring them in, right? For those red zone targets.
Don't
hate it. Don't hate it at all.
Parlay Devontae and D-Hop. See if those two get in the end zone, 25-1.
Wow.
That's funny. But yeah, we're gonna have some good stuff here. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But Brad, I like that parlay. I think I'm probably gonna end up circling that
Yeah, I
for
put it in. It's
for Monday Night
whatever.
Lotto. Did you put it in already?
Yeah.
You put it in? You put the
Yeah,
four
yeah,
legger in?
Yeah.
You're disgusting. You're sick.
I mean,
Wednesday and you're putting a Monday night 4-touchdown parlay in.
it's just for the love of the game, right?
You know what I'm gonna do? I think I'm gonna put that parlay in twice. If there's a ghost leg.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna do half my bet on that parlay. So say your unit's $100. I'm not a big enough asshole for $100 parlay on that. I won't. Say I decide to do 50. I'll do that parlay once for 25 with a boost, and I'll do it again for 25 with the ghost if we get the ghost.
Yep.
Pretty interesting.
That's lit.
But Brad, great show here to start off week 3. We will be back on Sunday, everybody, 10 a.m. as usual, bringing you all the important information, final plays and leans and looks and props before Sunday kickoff. Brad, you are an absolute gentleman and a scholar. I appreciate your insight as always. Let everybody know where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me on X at Mr. Brad Thomas, on Instagram at obrad, and on TikTok at Brad's Best.
You can find me on Twitter at _JohnnyVTV. My RotoWire videos on YouTube and my RotoWire Monday Night article. I will have some good fodder to write up for this Monday night game. And of course, you can follow me on the Breaking Bet podcast here every Wednesday, every Sunday. And guys, honestly, if you haven't gotten in on the NFL Discords, $200 for the whole season, regular postseason. We're up a few units, took a couple bad beats, but still profitable. Putting out all the plays. I'm going to give you that fantasy start sit advice on Sunday mornings as well. So make sure you lock in. The link is in my Twitter bio. Get in now. Come win with JohnnyVTV. And you got the podcast to back it up. Guys, thank you so much for joining us here on this Wednesday, spending your evening with us. We'll see you on Sunday.